Peace, love, and blessings, everyone. Welcome to Poetry and Conversation Spotlight feature. I am about to open up with the poem, and then we're going to get the lovely Erin Allegory on to talk about the poet behind the pen. So here we go. So I used to wonder what it felt like looking into the devil's eyes until I found out I was sleeping with that motherfucker personally. One dose of you was always dangerous limits. So are you even aware of the toxic spell that you have over me? That my body yearns for the passionate pain you inflict upon me. It's like I'm addicted to this game of Russian roulette that I'm playing on my heart. Suicide with my own feelings because tunnel vision's always focused only on you. Walking past red flags with a war I'm having with myself. See, my mind is steady trying to leave while my heart is still trying to learn what beating apart from you even means. How can something so bad feel so good? Nah, fuck that. Can't allow myself to reflect on the past, so I smoke these trees to release all the memories of we when it was really an I. Because I gave too much of myself to you, trying to make a better version of you, giving you my best while you only gave me your worst, giving second chances to fictional truth show good mouthpiece only spoke rehearsed. You said I was never ride or die, but my loyalty lie with you more than myself. You said I was a selfish bitch, but they say we hate was really a reflection of ourselves. See, I just wanted you to love me. Or maybe I wanted to love someone so much more than I could ever love myself, but big hearts get fed the fuck up too. And yes, you got good dick that you know how to hit with, but that doesn't take away from the fact that you still an average nigga doing average nigga shit. See, you always said if I ever left, I would regret it. But we all know it's your loss, my gain. See, it took a female to make you feel like the man that you can never be. Now, ain't that a shame? I just wanted to be at peace with you. But you only wanted me to keep settling for just a piece of you. And that wasn't good enough for me, so I had to say peace to you. Poem. Peace, love, and blessings. Everyone, welcome to Poetry and Conversation Spotlight feature. Thank you for the love. I'm about to bring Aaron on so we can get to know the poet behind the pen, learn about his journey. So here we go. If you can take yourself off of mute, how you feeling?
Hello.
Hey, hey.
Doing well. It's been a peaceful day. I definitely enjoyed the poem. I as someone that gets the inside view of the male like conversations, I definitely know men that use like sex with women to validate themselves and to build up their confidence and to, just like say that they're worth it, like builds their self-esteem. Um
Yeah.
it's a very tragic circumstance of
Mhm.
modern relationships.
Yeah. Believe it or not, so that is an old piece out of my book, No Apologies. I need to get back to promoting that book, but it's just basically a piece where you start romanticizing something, but then you really have to call it out because you realize it wasn't good for you. But I still like to bring it out because I just feel like there's still people out there that romanticize. I feel like we can never move on from someone who wasn't good for us because we want to hold on to the good memories instead of calling out the red flags that made us leave. You know, the same red flags we walked past in the beginning be the same ones we end up leaving for. So, but thank you for that. Like, I think that that's definitely dope to have conversations like that. Like, hold ourselves accountable. Like, I can only hold myself accountable, but I have to also hold my black sisters accountable when they say women ain't shit. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a cycle. But we're gonna get into that because your writing journey definitely talks about mental health. So first question I want to ask you is how long have you been writing and what has your pen taught you about you personally?
Well, I honestly haven't been writing for too long. I think I started writing around, I guess it's getting long now, but probably like around COVID-ish era I started to write. So now it's got to be three 3+ years, 3.5, 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had started a business. I started a record label, and I very soon realized that I was not skilled enough at creating music. Like the writing part I was good at, but the like mixing and the other stuff I wasn't. And I realized that, and I said, well, we're just gonna make this work. And I knew I had a voice, so I just started writing and writing and writing, and then fell into poetry.
So okay, so you started off writing music first, because it's crazy. A lot of people say about 2020. I feel like 2020, for those who allowed it to really like sit them down, had a chance to think, because a lot of things that we took for granted. I know me, I never really went outside as much. But then when you're forced to stay inside, you think about all the things you didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like take a chance that you took for granted. Because like I know that time I wanted to get into poetry as well. So it's just crazy. I hear like a lot of people always saying like, "Oh yeah, I started around 2020," but you still been writing though. So how long were you writing music?
Ooh, I think I wrote my first song when I was a kid, like middle
Okay.
school. Like I remember wanting to like pull a whole Justin Bieber and started a YouTube channel doing the music.
Mhm.
Um, and then I took a break. Like I realized when I got older, I was conditioned to be practical. Like
Mhm.
I grew up in a more traditional household where it was like the man's like you have a responsibility to provide. So it's like if you're not going to do something that facilitates that, it was like treated as if it wasn't worth doing. So like I had to rediscover how to do things just because I enjoyed them in my adulthood.
Yes, yes. Ooh. See, and I feel like music is still poetry, just over a beat, you know? So what do you
Literally,
feel like, what would you say your pen has taught you about you personally though? Because you've been writing since you were a child.
yeah, honestly, it's taught me a lot. I've been reflecting on that question. It taught me like to see myself, like to be honest with you. Like it allowed me to like it gave me my first like safe space. Like
Mhm.
it was the first place where I was actually allowed to have emotions and no one could critique me, no one could debate me, no one could downplay like what they were. They were just allowed to be mine and they were allowed to have a space. So it was safety, it was variety, it was stability. It taught me so much. And then there's just like taught me business. Like
Mhm.
now I got 3 books out now, and now I've like learned how to do this thing and be able to not only just like sell books, but give away books, and
Yes.
somehow always make enough to like more make more than what I spent on them. Like I don't know, it's been a lot. Always reminds me. I learned a lot just by even writing the books. Like I there was a member of my church that is an aspiring author. Like she writes a lot, and when she heard that I wrote books, she just asked me for advice, and I told her I was like, one, it's like one, what book do you feel like you're called to write? Was the question that I posed to her. I was like, because the writing that you do, like for your mental health, not all of that has to go into a book. Not everything has to be monetized. Like
Yes.
it's nice to just have things because you enjoy them. So I said, but the book that you feel called to write, that's the one that you should publish, and that's the one that's probably going to keep you up at night until you do. Um, and I told her that just writing it was worth it. Like you learn things just by doing it and just by actually seeing it through. So it's writing is self discovery. It's a
Ooh.
beautiful.
Yes, listen, people don't understand that. Like every writer I've ever come across just in conversation, even with doing these interviews, we all come from a background where the pen and pad was our first best friend, right? Like you say, it's self-discovery. Because even me, I started writing poems at 12 years old. It was something I found after my grandfather passed away. But I lived in a household where what happens in this house stays in this house. So I couldn't really talk about what was going on with me, but somehow my pen still wrote about heavy things as they would say vulnerable things are, even with mental health pieces. And I remember my teachers be like, girl, you be writing about some stuff. That was my pen trying to speak the truth, but I couldn't write about what I was going through. So I tried to force my pen to write about, made up things. But then I will always find myself, I feel like when you're not being honest with your relationship with the pen, somehow the passion kind of leaves, just like a relationship. And that's what happened. And it's like I started going through some storms, and then boom, okay, now it's time to reshift around that COVID time. Let's start writing about our healing journey. And it's like it had to change. So, like when you said it was self discovery, it hit me right there in the soul. Yes. Um, so you did give me permission to stimulate your mind. And for those who don't know out there, stimulate your mind is where we really get to see the human behind the poem, because we are so amazed at people's artistry and we want them to run things back. We don't understand that this is a real story. People go through things outside of the stage. And, we want to always just check in with the human, because a poet, what I'm saying, can only be strong for so long, can only be creative for so long. So the one rule is I won't ask you to be vulnerable without getting vulnerable with you, but you will answer first. So just pick a number between 1 and 86.
1 and 86. 25.
25, okay. So as I'm scrolling, I started this list around 2020. Like I say, it was a solitude thing. I was going on my healing journey, and I just started asking myself these uncomfortable conversation questions, and it became Stimulate Your Mind. So number 25. Ooh. What lesson have you learned about yourself in this season that you are in now? No right or wrong answers, your perspective.
That it's okay to just play my role in a sense. Like I mentioned before that I had given advice to someone from my church. I have a very different view on religion and Christianity than most people do. A lot so because I write books. Like to me, God is the ultimate writer. So when I go through life, I see it as like a grand story, and I'm just reading my chapter. Like that's my life. Is I get to watch the story go by. I get to enjoy the story, and I often now find myself wanting to be like the fly on the wall, so to say. Like I don't feel the need to be actively participating in every single activity, and that has stuck a chord more recently because I like the church that I went to or go to is like very like trying to get people involved like constantly, and I'm like, yeah, no, like I just want to sit back here, write, observe, learn, and just play my role. Like my role is the scribe, my role is the seer between the lines, and I want to be able to observe the fine print that you don't get when you're immersed in what's going on. So I would say just learning to just like be comfortable with that and just like, yeah, this is what I feel called to do right now, and I'm not going to apologize for that. Like this is my role.
Yes, I'm not going to apologize for that. That is a true thing. Like me, just to piggyback on it. So I don't identify with any religion, right? But I'm a very spiritual person, and I do believe that God is, what I'm saying, over this universe, and the universe that we live in is a university. So like I just love learning from people. I would say for me, a lesson that I have learned about myself in this season is that this life is not a script. It's okay to let go of the script I created as a child. um I can't say that I had the roughest childhood. I had food in my belly, clothes on my back, a roof over my head, but my family members that I lived with definitely used substance to run away from their mental health issues, right? Because it wasn't a thing for therapy back in the day. It was a big fear. If you open up about this or that, you could lose your kids. So with the substance, sometimes, addiction can cause this erratic behavior. So I used to put my headphones on and blast my music and just visualize myself in a better space, creating this script of life. And for a while, I used to think like this is my view as well. But it can be detrimental because you can have this script in your head as an overthinker. Oh, I'm going to say this and this person's going to say that. And then life will show you, no, that's not the case.
Mm.
So it's okay to let go of this script and really go with the flow and trust that the unknown has your back. I think
Mm.
sometimes it's hard for me to walk without knowing every detail of what's going to happen. So just letting go of that control and just letting God be in control.
That brings up something that I learned. I study. There's an author I like to study. His name is Brandon Sanderson. He
Okay.
he's a fantasy writer known for the Mistborn series, New York Times bestselling
Okay.
series. He also teaches how to be a professional novelist. So I like to watch his lectures on YouTube. And one day during a lecture, he talks about how there are two groups of writers. There are architects that typically outline a lot and they like to get all the details out, like to
Yep.
know exactly how they're going to write it. And then there are discovery writers that like to just sit down and they write and just let the story come to them. As um, notable, the author of Harry Potter claims that this is how she actually wrote Harry Potter, that she sat down and let the story come to her. Um, and I think that's a very important thing of life. Like, oftentimes we can try to be the architect, but there's beauty in the discovery of it. Like, I'm writing my first discovery novel right now, and it's so much fun to just actually sit down and just say, well, what feels like it comes next? And I have no idea necessarily how it's going to end. I don't know what characters I'm going to add, but it's fun. And that, I feel like that is something that keeps you flexible in life, to be
Yeah.
able to, at times you have to be the architect and plan and make room for the discovery of it all.
Mm. Make room for the discovery. That's a prompt in itself. I might challenge myself. Okay, okay, all right. Okay, I'm gonna give you ask one more poetry question before you get into your first piece. Can you describe what your pen flex? I said that right. Can you describe what your pen reflects in 3 words?
It's whisper of wisdom.
Okay, whisper of wisdom. Okay, and I'm gonna have to have you elaborate on that whisper of wisdom.
Yeah, so a lot of my books and poetry is very philosophical. Like, I try to broaden people's perspective and to kind of dilute their pain by expanding their mind. So I'm like, if you have a salt in a glass of water, it tastes salty. But if I were to make it a bucket, then now in comparison, it's not that bad. So I try to get people to zoom out a little bit and just look at life from a bigger picture. This way, the stuff that's happening in the moment doesn't feel as bad. Um,
Mm.
that would be why, that observer, that, again, that outside perspective of, that's why I like to be the fly on the wall, because you don't notice things when you're in it, like, but when you actually zoom out, then you're like, oh, these are patterns. Okay, like, this has happened before. Okay, and this, people have made it through this before as well, and some of this is a part of life.
Okay. Okay. I got a bonus question. I'm gonna wait till after you do your first piece, okay? So I'm gonna put myself on mute so you can get into your first piece.
Okay. um, I also, we talk about this at open mics, but I never know what piece I'm going to do until it's time. So since we're on the topic of mental health, I'll read a piece from my first poetry book that I published, which was Relief from Anxiety. And this one is titled Enjoy the View. Sometimes our world catches a cold. Shivering and congested, tempers run high, making our minds believe that this fever dream is really a nightmare. Sweating bullets while our comforter feels inadequate, wrapping ourselves up in illusions, fleeces that are forever fleeting, a condition devoid of meaning, and devastating to the soul. I pray you not grow old before going to the doctor, before learning to monitor your mentality. Your spirituality is precious. The cure for depression, both compass and road bricked by belief, glowing yellow with certainty of fulfillment. The decision to overflow with joy during the journey is up to you. So please do sing to your heart's content. Poem.
And what's the name of that piece again?
Enjoy the View.
Enjoy the View. I love how you talked about how America can have this cold, right? Being sick. And then we will believe that this fever dream is a nightmare. It made me think of, I have this unpopular opinion that I think a lot of people believe but just don't talk about. The news and the media has a way of manipulating us to living in fear. Because I used to intern at this place called Specs Howard back in Michigan. I wanted to be a broadcast journalist, and we had to spend 8 weeks, like in video. So we learned about how to run a news anchor show, how to like be behind the camera, how to be in front of the camera, and they always said that the newscasts know how to strategically set up each story. And I noticed, I'm like, why is each story dark? But then the last couple of lighthearted ones is like 15 seconds. So it just made me think of that. Enjoy the View. Like, is that still in rotation, or have you put that piece in the vault?
Well, I've mainly been reading from my second book, so
Okay.
I guess it has a little bit been in the vault, but I was planning on reading from these. The next time I go to open mics, I want to give a couple copies of these away. I just have more of them, so like this book is literally like someone told me this book helped them really process losing their kid to gun violence. So like this is like the book that made the journey worth it to me, because I didn't expect that when I wrote it. So this book holds a special place in my heart. It's just I've just always been on to the next book, on the next project, that I haven't really given it its space as much.
I get it. As creators, we be on the go. We be on the go. My bonus question for you is, because the first time I met you, if I'm not mistaken, was at the first Voices in Power that I went to. And one thing, like, maybe I'm tripping, but you just don't show it. When you get up there, you have this confidence on stage. You give the audience, like, you're not afraid to look us in the eye and get your piece off. You don't question if it's too heavy. You really go up there like, yo, this is a message I have to give off. My question is, do you get nervous, Aaron, or have you learned it's bigger than me?
I of course I get nervous, but it is also bigger than me. That's just more of a later lesson that I've gotten. But I guess I was fortunate. Like, I mean, I read this book called The Psychology of Money, and it talked about the level of luck and how that plays into who we become. And it talked about Bill Gates. Like, did Bill Gates work hard? Yes. But he also went to a middle school that had access to computers, which was literally a 1 in a million chance of happening, right? So a level of luck. My level of luck was that my high school that I went to had a boys speaking contest where you would get on stage in the auditorium and you would do a 3 to 4 minute monologue in front of the 600 people. And I grew up in the modern era where it was streamed to another 600 people. So on my 18th birthday, I did a motivational speech and I won. Like, so when I first started doing poetry, I treated it like that. Like it was I rehearsed all constantly. Like I wanted to show up and I wanted to be good. Like, and Voices in Power, like the poets there set such a high bar. Like, I literally started going because of T. Sleeveless's Teach a Boy to Cry. So like that was the bar to me. Like, I didn't want to show up with something that I felt was less than like what he pours into his art. I'm excited to see him for his feature coming up at the Voices in Power restart.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely couldn't get it. They sold out really fast. But I know he's gonna kill it, and I'll definitely be at the next one. I just know, get it as soon as you see it. Don't wait, cause Voice and Power been gone for a minute, and it's like now I'm back. So yeah. But no, thank you for answering that. I mean, of course we all get nervous, but you have a way of just not showing it. So I'm like, yo, um,
I usually burp like beforehand when I'm nervous, and then I get on
uh-huh.
stage, it like quiets out. But
So I know you have I feel like all of your books reflect around mental health. My question for you is, what do you think is beautiful about discussing mental health, and what makes people misinterpret mental health issues? Like if you need me like to kind of explain what I mean about that, I can.
um, I will clarify if I don't fulfill the question. Um, I would say what's beautiful about it is almost what's beautiful about poetry and
Mhm.
reading books is that it kind of pushes people to be empathetic. Like when you can actually have that conversation, there's just a level of visibility that you get that you just don't doesn't happen through like the common small talk. Like if we're just like, hey, hi, like, did you see the football game? Like that doesn't give me depth into someone and who they are. Like that's there's a bunch of fans of the same sports team in every city. Um, but when we talk about mental health, like then it gets to be like I see you. Like
Mhm.
then it gets to be like I can understand, I can empathize. Like that's what it honestly even makes me. That's why whenever I go to mics, people use poetry as a coping mechanism a lot. So oftentimes, a lot of poets go to open mics just to be seen. Like, and I every time I like hear a really sad poem and I just see this afterwards, I'm like, were we listening? Like,
Mhm.
person like needs a hug. Like this person needs a hug. Um, I think honestly, what is misunderstood about that is people think, or sometimes people think that vulnerability is weakness, and in reality, it's a strength. In
Mhm.
reality, it's an acceptance of a truth that everyone's vulnerable. Like that. That's the truth. Is that none of us are inviolable. Everyone can have their being and their essence desecrated at any minute, and it's something that some people forget, and some people have the privilege of walking around like that's not the truth. But um, many people do not have that privilege. Like life has taught them that that's just not a thing. Um, and then there's the stigma. Like there's some people that think like if you go to therapy that means you're crazy, and I'm like, no, it can really just mean that you're proactive about a very valuable part of your body. Like if you're not good up here, then what use is the rest of your body if you're not good up here? So I think
Mhm.
that's the main thing. Like people think that there's a stigma associated with it, or sometimes they think like, well, I say since we're now just getting to this stage where like mental health is becoming more important and more prevalent, people are getting to this stage where like we have to learn to trust people and know
Mhm.
their conditions do not define them, that they're just a part of it. I read this book called Black Ink, and in it, there's a excerpt. I wish I remember her name. She has a TED talk with it too. She's an African writer, but
Mhm.
she said the problem with stereotypes is not that they're without truth, it's that
Mhm.
they confine people to a singular story. That's the issue with mental health stigma. It's not that these things are without truth, it's that you're confining people to a definition. Like
Yeah.
you're taking someone who has a lifetime worth of things to see and explain, and you're confining them down to this thing that fits inside a Webster dictionary page. And
Mhm.
that's
No, you definitely hit it right on the nail because I feel like we are always misinterpreting mental health issues as someone's crazy or someone is too much. I even hold myself accountable because in my full-time job, I work with people who have physical and mental health issues going on. And I remember when I first started. I started at this job in 2019. So I was 29 at the time. And I remember I was the intake service coordinator where I was just, going into people's homes and I would just start the case and pass it on to the ongoing person. And I remember having a participant that was schizophrenic. And I remember being nervous, like, is he gonna have a moment? Not being educated on that it takes things to trigger it, right? But it's like you're a stranger in the home, you're asking these personal questions, but it's like I kind of, wish I would have gave more grace. I was just ready to get the assessment over and go because of what I was taught. You know what I'm saying? So thank you for highlighting that. Like it can be as beautiful as poetry. Everyone, vulnerability is not a bad thing. Everyone needs some type of love. So that's why I asked that. Thank you. I have one more question for you, get into your second piece. As a man, is it easy for you to face your traumas since, like you said, the pen has been self-discovery for you?
Um, I would say that it was at first, and I've gotten better at it. Like growing up, the man in the home, I never saw him cry, not once in my entire life, not once in my entire life. And one of the things I learned from him was that being vulnerable was actually extremely important. Like when he was on his way out, he we got in like a family tiff, and he would always say whenever he got upset that like no one knows him, that no one knows him. And I'm like, well, if we're your family and we don't know you, like that speaks volumes that you feel that way. And
Yeah.
he was just vulnerable. So I made it a point to learn to be vulnerable because I never wanted to die like that, like to be married to someone and then at the end, like you're about on your deathbed and you think that no one knows you. Like I couldn't I don't want that. I don't want that. I would rather be vulnerable and be a person that is accused of oversharing and being too much than to be invisible. Like that man taught me that you can die alone in a room full of people. So
Mm.
it's definitely something I've gotten better at. There are some things where I'm like, how do you process this is the question, or of like, because there are certain things that like I like don't even fully remember. Like I have experiences that are so stressful that I clean blacked out and like came back.
Mm.
So I'm like processing that is, I think that just takes a bit more time. So, but I would say as far as men go, as
Yeah.
far as men go, I'm definitely a lot more comfortable with being vulnerable than most. And it's just because of that background of how I grew up, where it was like, all
Mhm.
right, you should learn because the ramifications on the other side of not are too much. The price is too high if you don't.
Ooh. It is crazy. Like we can really learn, what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I don't know if I want to do that because that's what made me want to break my people pleasing ways when my grandmother had passed. I'm like, a lot of people kind of said what they loved that she did for them. No one said what they loved about her. And I was like, do I want to be remembered for who I am or what I do? So yeah, it seeing someone pass changes the world. Sorry for your loss. But it also helps you to reflect on like how to cherish life and kind of live it differently than they can because yeah, like you just never know what a person is going through until you start to reflect back. um I'm going to mute myself and let you get into your second piece, and we just got two more questions for you. Plug yourself and close us out.
Um, hmm. I mean, man, this is like I always forget that this is such a vast book. I touch on so many different topics. Um, I'm gonna go to the beginning. It's I definitely like this book. Like this book is fiction, and I try to help people with my books. And actually, let's go with this one. I never get to do this one. This is a poem that I've like wanted to do at open mics, but I've yet to do so or yet to feel the right moment. So this is from my book called Trauma Recovery, and the line that it stems from is called, "It'll help you steer your life away from fear and towards the future. Each day when I leave the house, they follow me. Who knew a single entity could have so many shadows? Step by step, they attempt to drag me down, grasping ankles I didn't know were targets. Disjointed at best, I am left to crawl, scraping my knees and just scraping by. Can I tell you a secret? Sometimes I think I'll drown. Sink into the darkness I've been harboring since memories could carry weight, since pain could make me cry blood into bags unable to be donated. If eyes could tell stories, my twins would say we are tired. Sadly, they do not speak Morse code. Blink twice if you're in danger, 3 times if you have a weapon. But how many times should I shut out the light if I'm dealing with depression? How many seconds does it take to understand the message behind the caged bird song? Struggle comes my way, you gotta brace sometimes. The struggle comes my way, you gotta cry sometimes. They say today is a battle, I say life is a war. Blood drips down my face, don't wanna taste it no more. But still my pupils bleed, ask them what they see. A wounded bird in a cage that only wants to be free. The crowd applauds. That was beautiful. There's so much soul in your voice. May we have an encore? Sure, but can I get a snack first? I'm feeling anemic. Inner monologue. Do you think they know my iron deficiency is a warning sign? Poem.
Ooh, depression is not something we give a safe space to. And I remember a quote by Jim Carrey that said, depression is your body screaming, take that mask off. We are tired of living these lies. Thank
I
you
love
for
that.
that. Yes, yes. Love the vocals too. Listen, you got that like folk type it's like bring that folk music, bring it out more. So I gotta kind of shift my next question. I know you said you haven't been writing poetry that long. So I'm gonna just say overall, what would the writer version of you 10 years ago tell the writer version of you today? No, I'm sorry. What would the writer version of you today tell the writer version of you 10 years ago?
10 years ago. This is a good question because like my birthday's on Sunday. So I'm like in like reflective period. I was getting this mode every time it's my birthday. So I'm turning 28, so that'll be 18-year-old me.
Okay.
And 18-year-old me was this time graduating high school, terrified, about to risk his life for a better one. I would say patience is okay, and stillness is okay. Um, you don't have to run would be my message. Of like you don't have to run. Like it's okay to take your time and not give into the whole capitalism hustle culture. That would be my message. I would tell him to be a lot more patient with what's going on. Um, yeah, and to even just value himself more. I definitely had to build my self-esteem up. I definitely 18-year-old me was definitely had some bad habits and was in some bad relationships because of lack of self-esteem at the time.
Listen, I'm not the type of person to do ageism, but I'll be 36 this year. Trust me, you are way more mature and doing way more than I was doing at 28. I know you'll be 28 this Sunday. Happy early birthday, but trust me, you are right where you need to be. And you get a pass at 18. We was impulsive back then. We made impulsive decisions at 18. So hey, okay. Um, so last question. It is 2 questions. You can only pick one. And lucky for you, you don't have a live audience to manipulate you to tell you to go a certain way. So I am a perfect blend of complex conversations. So, I like to have these uncomfortable conversations for growth, but I'm also the other side, angel and loving, where I like to give encouraging words. So, do you want to go the complex way, where you will say a conversation you feel the poetry community is not ready to have? Or do you want to go the angel loving way and give encouraging words to a poet? What will he pick?
Um, hmm. I feel like there are other poets that do a good job of answering question one, like Gabriel Ramirez does a good job of that. Jay Smooth also does a good job of that. So I will go with the encouragement one.
Okay, so what encouraging words would you give to a poet?
The encouragement I would say is that no matter what point that you're at, it's enough. Like you're right where you're supposed to be. Whatever you're writing, whether you like it or not, whether it feels good, is exactly what you should be writing right now. And all of that, all the stuff that you're doing that you don't like doing is really just preparation work for what you're really gonna do. So that would be my encouragement to just keep going. Like even an inch forward is still progress. So I would say that eventually it will pay off. Like that is my testament of writing, that a lot of things that I did, they just ended up paying off. Like I took a risk on starting a business, and then I got to do cool things I never thought I'd do. Like I got to work with one of the writers of the Black Panther comics. Wouldn't have
Hey,
happened to start doing this journey. So I would say that any progress at all is just worth doing it.
listen, keep going. And see, you got a business at 28. Yeah, you're doing way more than. Listen, you're going to be going. It's only going to get better from here. Okay, y'all heard it from the man yourself. I'm going to let you plug yourself, plug what books you have, what features you have coming up. Then you could close this out with your last piece. But I want to say thank you for taking time out of your busy life to come on and allow us to see the poet behind the pen. But I'm going to mute myself, and it's all about you in this last segment.
Okay, well, I appreciate you for having me. And for anyone that does want to stay in touch or just keep track of what I got going on and be encouraged more, I like to get people to read. And I'm also a person I like to, push people to grow a little bit. You can follow me on Instagram. It's Aaron, Aaron, like the Key and Peele episode, underscore allegory, Allegory. That is a short story with a hidden meaning, by the way. Those that don't know, the link to all of my books are in the description of my Instagram. So we have trauma recovery, just for helping people that are going through a lot of rough experiences. So I tried to come for like friends that think that they're helping by giving you a massive to-do list and they're not really listening, to domestic violence, to when you're vulnerable, people don't hear, to self-harm. Like I tried to come for it all in this book as much as I could. So all of my books are designed to help people. There's trauma recovery, there's relief from anxiety, then there's clarity of purpose for people that kind of feel lost in the digital age and the mechanism. Each one is very eye-opening. It says we're matured by the expansion of our minds. So that is always the goal for me, to just help people grow. I try to just help people with my books, and those are the ones that I publish. I write often. A lot of them are for me, but the ones that I publish, they're for you guys. So I do giveaways every fourth Sunday at Solar Tree. If I can get on the open mic list, because they're getting more popular. But if you see me there, like, feel free to approach. Feel free to just have a conversation with me. It'll be just like this, and we'll become friends. So I appreciate you all for listening, and I appreciate Complex Angel for having me on the show.
So I'm going to let you close out with your last piece, okay?
Yes. Again, I still never know what I'm going to do until I get to it. Hmm. Hmm. I'll go with this one. This one is from the last book, Clarity of Purpose, and This book is a story that I have. Like, we talked about mental health and things. Like, my father has schizophrenia, so there was a time where he was homeless and I couldn't find him. So that was a lot of what inspired this book. And this poem stems from a line that says, "All I could do was pray that someone out there cared enough to see the humanity in him as I scoured the streets." If you have ever been through a murky situation, and everyone does at some point, you know that the majority of what happens in our lives is out of our control. An unexpected fire can destroy our homes. Expensive medical bills can make paying for our necessities seem impossible. And losing our loved ones can make us question the logic of God's decisions. When placed between a rock and a hard place, often all we can do is pray. I'm here to tell you it's okay to cry while doing so, especially if you're a man. Don't let your desire to be masculine or meet others' expectations incarcerate you. And never let a religious person persuade you to pretend to be joyous 24/7. Not only is it unrealistic, it's inhumane. Tears were made to help us relieve stress. King David wept repeatedly, and Jesus cried when his friend died. Neither of them were weak. Don't believe me? Just ask Goliath and the merchants who turned the church into a marketplace. That isn't to say you don't have to learn to process your emotions to the point where you can act on what you can influence. It is to allow you to grieve, to accept your powerlessness as a part of who you are. If you abandon all hope and harden your heart, you'll enter hell's gates. Instead, gaze up at the stars and remember God is always listening, wanting to hear your voice, even if you're sniffling uncontrollably the entire time. Poem.
Thank you again. All right, y'all. That comes to a conclusion for the Poetry and Conversation Spotlight feature. Stay tuned. Peace. Let's see. Okay, stop recording. Okay. All right.